Capricorn. Some betrayals are not loud, they are quiet knives, slid between your ribs with a smile, then hidden behind tears that are not real. They did not just hurt you, they twisted the knife, then pointed to themselves as the one bleeding. They painted you in shadows while standing in borrowed light, and the world, for a moment, believed them. But the heavens do not take sides based on stories. The heavens take sides based on truth. Every whisper they spoke against you was carried into the throne room of God. Every false tear they shed was weighed on scales that never lie. And the verdict was written before you even knew a trial had begun. They wore the crown of a victim, but the roots of their crown were tangled in deceit. Now the sames they sent to scatter you are returning to scatter them. If you believe that God's justice never sleeps, type it in the comments. Heaven saw it all. Stay with me until the end, because you need to understand why God allowed this wound, why their mask is about to crack, and how you will recognize the moment heaven's judgment touches the earth. The silent courtroom of heaven, Capricorn. There is a courtroom you cannot see, a place where no human judge sits, no earthly jury decides, and no corrupted evidence can be hidden. It is a courtroom where every whispered word, every secret action, every hidden motive is laid bare before the one who sees all. This courtroom is not bound by time. It is not swayed by charm. It is not moved by tears that are only meant to deceive. And every injustice you have endured has already been carried there, without you even realizing it. You were never called to the witness stand. You were never given a chance to tell your side in the gossip, in the whispers, in the poisoned glances that were thrown your way. You were not allowed to defend yourself. Not because God didn't care, but because He didn't want you to. While you thought you were abandoned, heaven was building its case. While you were silent, the evidence was speaking for you. Every moment you held back your words when you could have fought back was noted. Every tear that slipped down your face when no one was there to see was gathered and stored. Every act of kindness you still gave them, despite the deep wound in your heart, became another piece of evidence in your favor. You see, in heaven's courtroom, there is no false testimony that can stand. There is no bribe that can change the verdict. There is no spin to the story that can twist the truth. They thought their lies would be enough to bury you. They thought the sympathy of others would protect them. But they didn't know that the same God who hears the cries of the innocent also weighs the hearts of the guilty. You may have felt small, but you were never powerless. You may have felt unseen, but you were never forgotten. Your dignity, the way you carried yourself in the middle of the smear, the betrayal, the twisting of the truth, was louder in heaven than their words were on earth. They wore their pain like a costume, parading it around for applause. But heaven knew the truth. Heaven knew who was bleeding because of who. And every page of this story, the truth, the lies, the silence, the suffering, is already written in the records of God. Capricorn, the trial in the silent courtroom of heaven is not one you can attend. But make no mistake, the judge has already spoken. The gavel has already struck, and the sentence is already in motion. The mask of the victim. Capricorn, let's talk about the game they played. A game built on lies, coded with false emotions, and presented to the world like truth. They hurt you, deeply. Not by accident, not by mistake, but with intent. And when the damage was done, they didn't stand in the place of responsibility. No, they rewrote the story so that they became the one to be rescued. They put on a mask of innocence. A mask carefully painted with trembling lips, downcast eyes, and a tone that begged for compassion. They made sure to drop vague words into conversations, carefully designed to make others curious and sympathetic. They posted shadowy messages, not naming you, but making sure everyone could connect the dots. Your silence, your choice to not fight back in the mud, became their weapon. They turned your quiet dignity into an admission of guilt, and people who didn't know the truth rushed to comfort them, to protect them, to stand in their corner. But here's the thing about masks. They may hide a face, but they cannot hide a spirit. The spirit always tells the truth. Those who looked closely began to sense something was wrong. That victim energy they carried didn't feel pure. It began to feel heavy, manipulative, almost rehearsed. Their actions didn't match their words. Their stories didn't match their timelines. And slowly, without you lifting a finger, cracks began to form in the image they built. God allowed it. He could have exposed them instantly. But he didn't. Because he wanted the truth to rise from their own lips, from their own actions. He wanted their exposure to be so clear, so undeniable, that even those who defended them would have no choice but to step back. And so, you waited. You watched from the distance. And little by little, you saw the shift. You saw people who once stood with them start to go silent. You saw the audience they performed for begin to scatter. Because no matter how well someone plays the victim, time always exposes the real wound and who truly caused it. Capricorn, remember this. A false victim can wear the mask for a while, but the weight of deceit always grows too heavy to carry. And when it falls, it doesn't just reveal the face, it reveals the heart. The moment heaven judged. Capricorn, there comes a moment in every battle when heaven says, enough. It is the moment when the line, the one only God himself can draw, is crossed. For a while, he may let them move freely. For a while, he may let them believe their lies are working, their schemes are hidden, their mask is still intact. But heaven is not asleep. Heaven is watching. And when they touch what is sacred to him, the atmosphere shifts. Maybe they lied about something pure, something that was never theirs to twist. Maybe they spoke words about you that went beyond simple gossip, words that could have poisoned your future and stolen the way people saw you. Maybe they didn't steal something from your hands, but from your soul, your joy, your sleep, your sense of safety. Maybe they reached into the part of you where your peace lived, and they tried to shatter it. And that is where God draws the line. Because you are not just another name to him, you are his creation, his child, his work in progress. To harm you and then stand as if they are blameless is to provoke the justice of heaven itself. When that line is crossed, judgment is not loud. It does not always come with thunder in the sky or lightning on the earth. Sometimes it begins with a whisper, a shift in the wind, a small but unmistakable change in the way life starts treating them. This is because judgment in heaven is not like human revenge. It is not messy. It is not rushed. It is precise, designed to pierce straight to the heart, to expose, to correct, and to make the lesson unforgettable. And judgment is never just about bringing down the one who did wrong. It is also about lifting up the one who was wronged. God's justice restores. It does not just remove the thorn, it heals the wound the thorn left behind. That's why lately, you might have begun to see signs. Doors that once seemed locked to you are swinging open without struggle. Opportunities that felt far away are coming closer without you chasing them. The heaviness you once carried is starting to lift, even if you can't explain why. At the same time, those who stood against you are facing their own walls. The plans they counted on are falling apart. Connections they thought were secure are vanishing. The confidence they once had in their lives is turning into a quiet fear. This is not coincidence, Capricorn. This is not random. This is verdict. The gavel has already struck in the silent courtroom of heaven, and now the sentence is making its way into the earth. It is the invisible hand of God closing what was never meant for them and opening what was always meant for you. Why God let it happen? Capricorn, I know you've asked the question in the quiet places of your heart. God, why did you allow this? Why didn't you stop it before it went this far? You replayed the moments in your mind, wondering why he didn't step in sooner, why he let the lies spread, why he allowed you to feel the sting of betrayal when he could have shielded you. But here is what you must understand. His silence was not absence. His delay was not neglect. God was not just protecting you. He was positioning you, not just shielding you, but shaping you. Not just saving you, but setting you apart. Sometimes God allows betrayal because he needs to remove people from your next chapter without you running back to them. If they had left quietly, you might have invited them back. But when they reveal themselves through harm, deceit, and pretended innocence, the separation becomes final. It burns a bridge that was never meant to stand in the first place. And he lets them speak against you, not to break you, but to prepare the stage for your public restoration. Because when the blessing comes, the contrast between their false words and his real favor will speak louder than anything you could ever say. The very mouths that tried to curse you will have no choice but to witness your elevation. Capricorn, this was never just about the pain. It was about preparation. He wanted you to see their true character before he handed you the very thing you've been praying for. Because blessings attract attention. And not all attention is pure. If he had blessed you before revealing them, you might have placed your crown in the hands of someone who secretly wished to see it fall. God allowed the exposure to be slow so that you could truly learn who is for you and who is simply around you. He needed you to be wise enough to guard what is coming from people who clap for your failures but grow silent at your victories. And above all, he wanted you to know something that cannot be shaken. Your worth is not determined by anyone's opinion, rumor, or version of events. Your value is not in their approval. It is written in his record, stamped with his seal, and it has never changed, not even when they tried to paint you differently. This was not God ignoring your pain. This was God using it as the soil for your promotion, the sign of divine verdict. Capricorn. Heaven's judgment is not always thunder in the sky or fire on the earth. It is often quiet, precise, and undeniable. And when it comes, you will not need to guess. You will know. There are 3 clear signs that the verdict from the silent courtroom of heaven has reached the earth. The first sign, you will hear their name, and it will not be in the way they want it to be heard. You won't go searching for it. You won't be digging through stories, chasing rumors, or looking for proof. It will find its way to you without effort. It might be a friend mentioning something in passing. It might be a conversation you accidentally overhear. Or it might be a sudden piece of news that lands in your path. And when you hear it, you will feel that knowing deep in your spirit, that still, calm voice inside will say, "This is not by chance. This is the beginning." The second sign. Opportunities they thought were locked in will begin to slip away. Things they bragged about will quietly vanish. Plans they thought were secure will unravel without warning. Doors they once walked through with confidence will be shut before they even reach them. And they will be left wondering why everything is suddenly out of reach. But you will know. You will understand that this is not random misfortune. It is the hand of God removing from them what they used to harm others. The third sign, and perhaps the most beautiful, you will be blessed in the very area they tried to harm. If they tried to take your peace, you will find yourself sleeping deeply, smiling more, and feeling a rest in your soul that you haven't felt in years. If they tried to destroy your name, you will be honored, maybe even in front of the very same crowd they turned against you. If they tried to limit your progress, you will see unexpected opportunities unfold so easily that you will know it is divine. And when this happens, you will feel it, not as a loud celebration, but as a quiet, overwhelming awareness that God has made things right. Capricorn, when you witness these 3 signs, do not boast, do not gloat, and do not feed the fire. This is not your revenge. This is not your doing. This is the gavel of heaven striking the table. It is God saying, "Case closed." How to walk forward. Capricorn, when God steps in to vindicate you, the greatest proof of your victory will not be found in the words you speak, but in the silence you keep. Because true vindication does not need an announcement. It shines on its own. Do not gloat. Do not stand on the mountain of your blessing and point back at the valley where they tried to bury you. Do not repost their downfall, no matter how tempting it feels. And do not entertain the "I told you so" moments that try to creep into your spirit. Why? Because when God fights for you, He is not only protecting you, He is testing you. He wants to see if you can hold the blessing with clean hands and a pure heart. If you can walk in elevation without letting pride pollute your spirit. if you can rise higher without dragging anyone through the mud beneath you. Your response in this season will reveal whether you are ready for the greater that's coming, because the blessing is not just a reward, it is also a responsibility. So how do you walk forward? You live in such a way that they realize, without you saying a word, that hurting you was the worst decision they ever made. You let your growth speak louder than their gossip. You let your progress stand taller than their lies. And you let your life become the answer to every accusation. Your healing will be your revenge. Not the kind of revenge that seeks to harm, but the kind that makes it impossible for them to believe they truly damaged you. When you smile without bitterness, when you laugh without pain, when you move without the weight of what they did, that is a victory they cannot touch. Your joy will be your proof. Because joy that comes after injustice is not ordinary, it is evidence of God's hand at work. It says what they tried to break, God rebuilt stronger. And your peace will be your crown. Because nothing intimidates an enemy more than seeing you at rest when they expected you to be restless. Nothing is more unsettling to those who try to disturb your life than watching you sleep peacefully at night, knowing they no longer hold any place in your mind or your heart. So walk forward, Capricorn, not with revenge in your hands, but with grace in your steps. Not with a heart full of bitterness, but with a spirit full of gratitude. For the battle is over, the verdict is final, and the crown is already on your head. Heaven saw it all. Capricorn, the battle was never yours to fight. It may have looked like it was happening in the open, between you and them, between your truth and their lies, but in reality, it was a battle fought in realms you could not see. They hurt you, then stood boldly in the spotlight of deception, painting themselves as the wounded one. They stood there as if truth was in their hands, but heaven turned the lights on. And when heaven's light shines, there is no shadow that can hide the truth. The truth has been standing in plain view all along, and now it can no longer be ignored. You didn't lose when they wounded you. You won when you refused to lower yourself to their level. You won when you chose dignity over retaliation. You won when you decided that your character was worth more than proving a point. And now, the same heaven that weighed their actions has already declared its judgment. The same God who recorded your tears and your silence is about to reward you openly. The kind of reward that doesn't just restore what you lost, it multiplies it. The kind of blessing that speaks for you so loudly that you will never need to defend yourself again. Type it one last time in the comments as a declaration, as a seal over this chapter of your life. Heaven saw it all. Let those words be your reminder that nothing you went through was unseen, and nothing you suffered was in vain. Walk into your next season without the heavy burden of proving yourself. You don't need to explain your side to those who were determined not to hear it. You don't need to correct the false versions of your story. God already did that for you, and His vindication carries a weight your words never could. Capricorn, lift your head. Your story is shifting from survival to celebration, from defense to destiny, from hidden wounds to open favor. If this message has spoken to your spirit, make sure you subscribe, because this is only the beginning. There is more you need to hear, and your journey of restoration is far from over. The next chapter of your life is not about what they did to you, it's about what God is about to do for you.